actually just ordered the powder blue Bryce Harper jersey.
You know, I actually bought the same one off DEH a couple weeks ago. Oh, it's your brother.
Well, that's crazy.
What's up, VC?
Yo, Brian. Bri is down covering the conference championship, the conference tournament right now in Memphis, and I was wondering, once again, would you like to host Temple Timeout, bro?
Oh, dude, you already know I'm down to host Temple Timeout. That sounds great. You know I'd love to talk about the AAC Tournament going down in Memphis right now.
You know what? I heard you have Temple going all the way, so we're going to have to definitely talk about that. We got women's lacrosse, too, and Temple Pro Day. One player is making a difference for more than just the scouts around him. But first, let's take a timeout.
Hello and welcome into yet another edition of Temple Timeout. Alongside Vince Coll, I'm Brian Steinmetz. We're starting things off today. The American Conference Tournament is underway in Memphis, and Temple's taking on Wichita State in the quarterfinals on Friday night after the Shockers breezed past ECU in the first round.
Exactly right. Temple basketball is the third seed in this tournament, so they skipped right to the quarterfinals, and our very own Bri Hofsass is down in Memphis covering the game. So let's take you right to her with the very latest.
What's up, guys? I'm here at the FedEx Arena here in Memphis, Tennessee for the AAC Tournament. Now, the first day was just as you would expect. There weren't a lot of upsets. The biggest upset was when the number 10 seed SMU defeated the number 7 seed Tulsa, and that's actually really good news for the Owls. Don't forget, earlier this season, Tulsa handed the Owls their ugliest loss of the season with a 23-point deficit. So them getting knocked out in the first round is good news for Temple. But they're going to be taking on the number 6 seed Wichita State Shockers. Now, they only played each other once this season, and it was a close one. Temple did walk away with an 85-81 victory, but like I said, it was a close one. The Owls did shoot well, just under 50% at 47% from the field, and they were able to get 12 steals in that matchup, forcing 21 Wichita State turnovers while only turning the ball over 11 times. They're going to want to keep that momentum if they're going to want to move into the semifinals the next day. Now, some keys for the Owls that are looking good for their tournament hopes. They're not on the same side of the bracket as the number 1 seed Houston or Memphis. Now, Memphis might be the 5th seed in the tournament, but they're playing at their home court. They've only lost 2 games this entire season here at the FedEx Arena. So not being on the same side of the bracket as Memphis or Houston is looking really good for the Owls if they're going to want to keep their tournament hopes alive. But first, they're going to have to take on Wichita State, which they're going to be playing tonight at 9 o'clock Eastern Time on ESPNU. That's all for me right now here at the FedEx Arena in Memphis, Tennessee. Back to you guys in the studio.
Thanks, Bri. Wichita State finished 17-13, but only 10-8 in conference play. They are, however, coming into this game on a 5-game winning streak, so look out for that momentum to carry the Shockers early on.
Yeah, they're led by seniors Marcus McDuffie and Samaje Haynes-Jones, the only players to average over double digits on their team. They're also a great shooting team from beyond the arc, with 5 players shooting over 30%. So assuming Temple wins this first matchup over Wichita State, we're going to play a little How Far Will They Go Conference Tournament edition. So, Brian, handing it over to you. You got 30 seconds. Tell me, how far will this Temple team go in this tournament and why?
Well, Vince, you ready for this? I'm going to shock you and most people and say that the Owls will make it all the way to the conference championship. I think they'll easily handle this matchup tonight with the Wichita State Shockers. And if things work out the way they're supposed to and they're projected, the Owls would play Cincinnati in the semifinals. And I can honestly see Temple giving the Bearcats a run for their money. I mean, they already have. They played in late January, and Temple had a 10-point halftime lead, but lost the game by 4 points. It was a game Temple should have won. And since he lost their last 2 regular season home games, or not just regular games in general, to UCF and Houston, and that'll either motivate them or have them on the ropes against a gritty Owls team. So there you have it, conference championship bound. I'm saying, Vince, what do you got?
All right, with Temple's bye, they only need to win 2 games to get into the conference tournament. So the conference championship, excuse me. So the big focus is this Cincinnati game. Cincinnati, ranked 24th in the nation, and is the only team Temple has not beaten in conference this season among the teams they've played in conference. And it was the only game, it was only 1 game that they didn't win versus Cincinnati, and Cincinnati absolutely killed Temple on the boards. Plus, the Conference Player of the Year, Jaron Cumberland, is on this Cincinnati team. If the Owls don't have to go through Cincinnati, I say they will win the conference tournament, but if they do have to go through Cincinnati, I say they are out in the semifinals.
Taking it from the hardwood to the gridiron now, Temple football was in action for the first time in 2019, and the first time under head coach Rod Carey and the majority of the coaching staff. Carey is taking over a team that won 8 games just a year ago, that returns 7 starters on both sides of the football, and as we all know, there's a lot to be done before the Owls kick off in September.
The energy was good. Now, we're only in our underwear, so, I mean, we're not playing football yet, but it was a good start for sure.
I couldn't wait, man. I was so happy. I made a snap this morning at like 5:30. Talking about this is the first practice with a bunch of hard eyes, so I was ecstatic, man. I'm ready to get back out here and get ready for my senior year.
And then, at the end of the day, it's my last spring ball. It's the last ride. Me and my guys, the 3 linebackers up there, me, Sean, Sam, it's our last ride, and I'm just ready to get after it all with my boys with the chip.
Hey, but before we can let go of the winningest group of seniors to ever come through 10th and Diamond Streets, mark your calendars because Temple Pro Day is coming up on Monday, March 18th. I'll be in attendance for this, as well as scouts from all 32 NFL teams. It's closed to the public, so stay with social media for the results as it's going on. This is a great chance for overlooked prospects to make their marks to pro scouts.
Yeah, and some Owls to look for at Pro Day. Raquel Armstead, who ran the second fastest 40 time for running backs at the Combine, along with Rocky Yasin, Michael Dogby, wide receiver Ventel Bryant, Delvon Randall, and again, Chris Myrick and Freddie Booth Lloyd all making their presence known at the Combine as they did in their regular seasons for Temple.
Hey, and not to mention, at this year's Pro Day, the players are not the only ones benefiting from the action on the turf, and that is thanks to former walk-on tight end Chris Myrick. The senior tight end teamed up with the Uplifting Athletes organization to allow fans and supporters to make a pledge to donate a certain dollar amount for every rep on the bench press he is able to do. Now, the goal for Myrick is 23 reps, and so far, with the pledges he made, he would raise $800. The proceeds are going to the Uplifting Athletes Foundation, who over the years have raised over $4 million to the rare disease community. So, Brian, the goal is $1,000. He's almost there with that $800. So pretty cool stuff from number 85.
Yeah, he's definitely someone who knows what it's like to give back. If you remember, he was awarded a scholarship his junior season, and after walking on, he ended up starting his senior season, and it's just a good gesture from a great guy. Vince, I have to ask you, how many bench presses do you think you could take on?
That's tough to answer right now. I don't know. It's been a while since I've been on a bench. I'm not sure. Moving on now, for the first time, Temple Women's Lacrosse is utilizing virtual reality in their training efforts. Head coach Bonnie Rosen is leading the charge in a partnership with the athletic brain training company NeuroTrainer for the 2019 season. Now, players are required to wear these Oculus goggles 3 days a week, where they play specific games that challenge their reaction skills. NeuroTrainer keeps track of each player's training in order to mark improvement in certain areas. There is a team leaderboard, so as you can imagine, it gets very competitive. And for Coach Rosen, she looks at these goggles like an assistant coach.
I am really, really interested in the ability to eye track. That to me is the one thing when it comes to that last piece of vision that is really hard to coach. And if I could provide our athletes a better feedback as to how they're using their eyes, I can better help teach them how to use their eyes.
Well, despite the new technology so far, the season hasn't gone exactly to plan for the Owls. Here you see them in action on Tuesday as they fell to Boston University. They're currently sitting at 3-5 and winless at home to start the season, with close losses to Delaware, Lafayette, and Boston University. But the road isn't going to get much easier for the Owls as they are set to take on number 7 JMU on the road Saturday and a tough Jacksonville State squad before their conference play begins. Junior Maddie Gebert leads the way with 17 goals, and fellow juniors Olivia Thompson and Megan Hoffman each with 12 and 10 goals apiece to follow up. But with much of the tough schedule already played, anything can happen when conference play begins. And well, with that being said, we are all out of timeouts for today's show. Be sure to follow our mother station on Twitter at Temple Update and TU_Sports Desk for coverage of the conference tournament in Memphis and much more action throughout the week.
Yeah, we'll be back here same time, same place next week for a brand new edition of Temple Timeout. For everyone behind the camera, for Brian Steinmetz and myself, Vince Coll, thanks for watching.